Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Proverbs, the 2nd chapter. My son, if thou wilt receive my words and hide my commandments with thee. So, and the hiding is in the sense of like if you had treasure, how you store it up. That's what he means by that. So that thou incline thine ear unto wisdom and apply thine heart to understanding. When you incline your ear to wisdom, if you're inclined to do something, you are putting in an effort, right, to actually hear and understand the words of wisdom that are being told to you. And you're applying your heart, meaning your mind, right? Let's go into that word heart. All right, it says here, lab, which is the inner man, the mind, the will, the heart, understanding. Right, so it says here, if you incline or apply your heart to understanding, right, you apply your mind to the understanding or the discipline of wisdom. If thou seekest after her, or you seekest her as silver, and searchest for her as for hid treasures, right? So if it comes down to money, right, people seek that, right, because they see the value in it. If you can now see wisdom as such, as that valuable that you're willing to work a 9 to 5 for it, people will do some pretty undesirable jobs for money. People will do things they detest for money because of how much they value it and how much they believe they need it. So if you're willing to go to those extremes, right, as you would for money, but for wisdom, you're going to benefit greatly. And searches for her as for hid treasures, right? Like look at the dangers that those that treasure hunters go through in order to find and uncover treasure. Then shalt thou understand the fear of the Lord. See, if you're when for those that are that desires of wisdom, that's when they understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. And the scriptures tell you that the wisdom of the Most High or the foolishness of the Most High is wiser than the wisdom of men. Okay, so the knowledge or the wisdom of God is far above your common knowledge. For the Lord giveth wisdom, out of his mouth cometh knowledge and understanding. Yeah, and it tells you that in the book of James as well, right? If you lack wisdom, pray to the Lord, and he's the one who gives it liberally. Right, out of his mouth cometh knowledge and understanding. He layeth up sound wisdom for the righteous. When you lay something up, you store it. Right, so he's storing up sound wisdom for the righteous. Why? Because they're the ones to whom it belongs. They're the ones who are going to seek it. He is a buckler, that is a shield, to them that walk uprightly. Yeah, because if you walk uprightly, one, you're doing what's pleasing to the Lord. That's what's making you walk uprightly. And as a result, he's going to protect you. He keepeth the paths of judgment and preserveth the way of his saints. Let's look at that in the NLT. It says, he guards the path of the just and protects those who are faithful to him. NKJV, he guards the paths of justice. To guard the path of justice, imagine justice being a road. You don't allow anybody to come and just pervert justice, right? So when you guard the paths of justice, you maintain justice by doing away with any kind of injustice. So the Lord does not permit injustice to happen to his saints, to those of his that are upright, and preserveth the way of his saints. All right, that's the path of the saints, i.e., whatever you find yourself to do, the Lord will preserve you. Then shalt thou understand righteousness and judgment and equity, yea, every good path. Right. So going back up, he's saying, if you are to seek her, right, as silver and search for her as hid treasure, then you'll understand righteousness and judgment, because you'll eventually start to grow and your mind will start to expand, and you go through different experiences from a perspective of a righteous individual, and you'll start to have a greater understanding and appreciation for what it means to be righteous, and better understand judgment and equity, yea, every good path. Then when wisdom entereth into thine heart, and knowledge is pleasant unto thy soul, because eventually that's what will happen, right? As you're seeking wisdom, you'll find her, and it'll enter into your mind, and it'll start to sup with you as through the Spirit of the Lord. And the desire of knowledge is going to be pleasant, right? Knowing, learning, and growing is going to be a beautiful and sweet thing to your soul. Discretion shall preserve thee, understanding shall keep thee. Yeah, because one that lives life without discretion is like a fool that doesn't look well into his going. And eventually what happens? They perish. But if you use discretion, you're cautious, you know, you stay out of trouble, you think through before you act, you'll live longer, right? You'll be preserved from unnecessary dangers. You know, for example, that there's a certain neighborhood that is very dangerous. They rob a lot of people, and you have the option not to go through there. Why would you go through there? You have to apply discretion. Understanding shall keep thee. Similar concept, right? Keeping meaning to guard you and preserve you. To deliver thee from the way of the evil man. See, from the man that speaketh froward things. And the evil man and the man that speaketh, evil man is pretty self-explanatory. A froward is like perverse or twisted, or not borderline, but it's in the same lump as wickedness. All right. So in applying discretion and understanding, the Lord will keep your ways to where you don't end up at the mercy of evil men or those that speak froward things, right? And we know now the ultimate evil man, as we see, or let's say a nation of people that have truly learned to embody this, and not exclusive to them, is Esau, Edom, right? The Edomites today, but not exclusive, because our people are right up there with them. But the Lord delivers the righteous from them all. Who leave the paths of uprightness, talking about those that speak froward things. They leave the paths of uprightness to walk in the ways of darkness, right? So they would rather not do what is right because of their desire for what is wrong. That is walking in the ways of darkness. Who rejoice to do evil and delight in the frowardness of the wicked. They don't feel bad when they do evil. It gives them a little adrenaline rush. They feel like they're powerful. They boast about it, right? And they delight. They have fun in frowardness of the wicked, whose ways are crooked, and they froward in their paths. And let's look into that word froward. Get some synonyms on that. To depart, to turn aside, to go wrong, right? Devious, perverse. So they depart, they go aside from righteousness. And as we're reading here, whose ways are crooked. So their paths, whatever it is they set their minds to do, it's crooked, it's wrong. And they froward in their paths. So once again, it's reiterating the same point, right? Their path, the things that they wake up, their plans and their agenda is twisted, it's perverse, it's off the path of righteousness. To deliver thee from the strange woman, even from the stranger which flattereth with her words. And this is dealing with what wisdom would do for you, right? It'll deliver you from the evil man, and it'll also deliver you from the strange woman. Now, in this chapter and also the subsequent chapters, what Solomon does here is he speaks concerning the dangers of the strange woman, which on a literal sense is dealing with like actual women that you have to be careful of, like wicked women. And he goes into some accounts of them, seducing, right? How they can be very seductive in leading you into adultery or a fornication that can ruin you. But, in the same vein, dealing with wicked philosophies, right? Just to put it, for lack of a better word, or deviating from the path of righteousness. And that all really comes by a way of living, right? Which we liken onto doctrines or philosophies. So because everybody lives by some doctrine or philosophy. Some people live more disciplined by their own, what they will call moral code. Some live after the ways of the Stoics, and some live after the doctrines of their religions. These are all ways and philosophies, the doctrines and philosophies. So even those that don't think that they live by one, they do. And so the strange woman, right, is applicable in both sense. On a philosophical level, right, dealing with left hand wisdom and also dealing with actual women. But wisdom will keep you away from both. Wisdom will give you the ability to discern an actual physical woman that is a danger to you, and a wicked way of life or left hand wisdom that can pervert your knowledge and cause you to go astray. So she will deliver you from both strange women. Even from the stranger that flattereth with her words. The flattering with her words goes into seduction, right? And you can be seduced with the false teachings, as when you read in the New Testament, that was one of the main things that were warned of by the apostles and even Yahushua himself, that you have people that are really good with their words and they can sway you and deceive you, one, by getting you to not believe what you're believing anymore through what it seems like are holes in your belief, and those holes are actually, answered by following their beliefs, a better way of living. And then also in the literal sense, women can be very seductive, right, with their words. A lot of people get caught up in these situations because of that. It says, which forsaketh the guide of her youth and forgetteth the covenant of her God. Let's read that in the NLT. Is that she has abandoned her husband and ignores the covenant she made before God, right? Going into her marriage. And so a woman like that is more than capable, all right, of seducing you, right? This is what she does. She's prone to adultery. Okay, that's her hometown. So you got to watch out. Okay? It says here, for her house inclineth unto death, it leads unto death, and her paths unto the dead. So her house, where she will take you back to, is a path that will lead you to destruction. Both in the sense of, if you are swayed by a left-hand doctrine, where's that going to lead you to? It's going to lead you out of the house of the right-hand wisdom and into the house of death. And you'll start to do things that are contrary to what the Lord desires, and eventually you'll bring destruction upon you. Likewise, if you are swayed by a wicked adulterous woman, what's going to happen? You're going to find yourself in a situation one day where a man or somebody pulls up, and now you hiding under the bed, and he's looking for you with his pit bulls and a shotgun in his hand, right? And now you get two cheeks bit off with 3 bullets in your chest. Okay, either way, it leads on to death. None that go on to her return again, neither take they hold of the paths of life, because she's going to lead you astray from that. And once you go, there ain't no coming back. If the Lord doesn't have mercy on you, you're not coming back from that. Okay, now you might mess up real bad and meet a woman that looks nice and seduces you, and now you end up being tied up to the floor of her bed, and she's drawing a freaking pentagram around you with candles lit up in her shit. You don't want to end up in that path. So it says here, verse 20, that thou mayest walk in the way of good men and keep the paths of the righteous. That is what wisdom will do. Wisdom will keep you in the way of good men. How did those good men earn the reputation of being good men? They followed the ways of wisdom. All right. And it'll keep you or keep the paths of the righteous. Right. So the righteous are going to have their the way that in which they live, they'll be protected in that. For the upright shall dwell in the land, and the perfect shall remain in it. Right. Because if you are living upright, then you're going to be preserved. Right. And so will your descendants over and over and on and on and on. Then the Lord actually said that before we got into the land of the promised land. And the perfect shall remain in it. But the wicked shall be cut off from the earth, so they're going to die. And the transgressors shall be rooted out of it, because eventually that's what's going to happen. They're going to suffer judgment to their demise. And that brings us to the end of the book of Proverbs, the 2nd chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Recha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.